I vowed that one day I have to return to Marshall and visit Loney's grave. 30 years later, I was invited to join a symposium for the James Jones Literary Society in Robinson. My wife, Barbara, and I drove from Kentucky, bypassed Robinson, and went directly to Loney's grave. We finally, after asking people, we finally found her grave. I had told Barbara all about Loney and how the great part she had played in my life. I placed a bouquet of flowers tenderly on the headstone and stood there a long moment in silence, recalling one of the first letters Loney had written me. I am cruel in order to be kind. I kept marveling over how a white American lady from a Midwestern town had transformed a barefoot Japanese boy from Maui to someone who had written a couple of novels and several plays, including a play adapted from his first novel, which won the John F. Kennedy Center Award for the Performing Arts. Yes, we will meet again in the garden. As I am writing this, I look up at a large photo of Loney and Jim above my head, and I hear Loney saying, "This is pretty good stuff, but not great. You can do better." Thank you for letting me express my fondest love for this inspiring lady who is from around here, your town here. Thank you.
We have time for questions.
First, I wanted to thank you for making me homesick. I'm from Hawaii, I was raised.
Oh, where?
I'm wondering why do you think so much literature about Hawaii is written by outsiders? Why there are so few writers from Hawaii who kind of write about it?
No, it's almost like a missionary writing about Hawaii. He was back east. Of course, Jones was able to write about Hawaii because he was stationed in the army there for many years. But the way he captured the background of Hawaii was so real that I couldn't believe he was not from Hawaii. By the way, he went to UH too, night school, learning how to write. And when he mentioned Haleiwa, when he mentions Haleiwa, Wailu, and all those places, I'm sure you're familiar. What are you from? Well, Kaneohe, yeah. I have a sister living there. Anyway, so he captures all. He talks about Kaneohe, by the way. Makapo Point. He was stationed at Makapo Point. And by the way, about 6-7 years ago, my wife Barbara and a whole bunch of us from the symposium went to Makapo Point, had the state of Hawaii have not statue, a plaque over there, and honoring James Jones, of course. It became a tourist attraction. Going back to your question again now. Say that again.
I was wondering why so much of the literature about Hawaii is written by outsiders, why there aren't a lot of local writers.
Well, recently there have been some local writers. There's the Bamboo magazine, Bamboo Books. But our Hawaiian songs too, we're not reading about Hawaiians, they were outsiders. I guess if you're an outsider, you have a more objective view about it. If you steep in it, you can't see beyond your nose. But having an outsider come to Hawaii, it's a different viewpoint, more objective. They perhaps appreciate the beauty more than you and I would because we were born and raised there. So they see things that you and I, although we see, we really don't look at it. And going back to your question again about novels, it's not easy writing a novel when you're still there. Myself, if I had not removed myself from Hawaii, I would never have written about Hawaii. You're too close to it. By being away from it physically and mentally, I was able to see more objectively and view it not as an insider but an outsider. And I think that's the reason for it.
Other questions?
John, what summer was it that you were at the colony?
63.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wasn't.
Were you there then?
No, but I was 10 years old down the road at Trimble. If you know where that is.
Yeah, I passed there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was our last one there. There was a writer called Charlie Wright. He was there for a week after I came. He wrote a book called The Messenger, and he was so anxious to see his book come out that he took off one day and went back to New York. And The Messenger came out not too long after that. But I was the last one there, so I guess I have the dubious distinction of being the last one there. So I actually had a privilege of having that attention, the individual attention from Lonnie, because I was the last one there.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I was very fortunate in that it became a personal. Because when I listened to other people who knew Lonnie at the county, all they remember is how tough she was. And I remember that too. But because I was the last one there, and I think she was mellowing in old age too. So we became friends after the initial, all that bullshit I went through, Yeah, we became real good friends. And the letter she wrote me, we shall meet each other in the garden, I didn't know that. What she meant was life hereafter. It took me a while to realize what she was saying. And as Ray Elliott over there would know, I have about 300 letters from Lonnie which I kept. And one day, Ray spent a couple of days with us in California, and I showed him the letters. I made copies of it, and he took it home. And in 1 year, Ray learned so much about writing, he came up with a book of his own.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. After reading Lonnie's letter, he says it inspired him.
I did start the next day.
Oh, yeah.
I got back.
And within less than a year, you had completed your novel. Now, she did inspire. It was very, but you had she always used the word utterly. I'll never forget that. 100%. And believe in me 100%, I'll make a writer out of you. She always believed she can make a writer out of anyone.
You don't think that you would have ever been a writer without coming to Marshall, Illinois?
It would have taken me much longer. By that time, I probably would be dead. Well, I said I majored in accounting. I really wanted to major in American literature, English, or journalism. But there's a practical side in my head. I read so much about writers and artists starving, I didn't want to be one of them. So I figured if I major in accounting, I'll always have something to fall back on, which I did. It's hard to make a living unless you're James Jones. But I always had this background. So when I was broke, I went to work for a CPA firm, did tax season, went overseas, went to Vietnam to make some money and continue writing. So I was very fortunate that I was practical in my thinking to learn how to make a living, and then write on the side. So all the years I did that.